POV, it's summer or maybe even spring and the weather has started to warm up, and all you want to do is relax with your craft, but your sticky little sweaty fingers are sticking to the hot, heavy fiber that you chose to make with. I've been there. Crocheting with wool or knitting with wool or even acrylic in these warm months, it's kind of miserable. And it's not very enjoyable to wear those things either. A lot of these yarns hold in a lot of heat, so it's not fun to make with or wear these fibers. But lucky for you, there are so many amazing fibers that are perfect for warm weather. And it can be overwhelming to know which ones are going to be the best fit for you. But lucky for you, I've made a whole comprehensive list of all the different fibers and a bunch of recommendations that I think are perfect for warm weather makes. That way you can keep making and keep wearing even into the warm months, and you'll be able to still pick out a lot of pretty fun yarn, because that is half the joy. But before we get into that, I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Book of the Month. So you guys probably know who Book of the Month is. I've worked with them a couple of times. I really love what they do. Essentially, it is a book subscription service that brings new titles to your doorstep every month. The curators over at Book of the Month do a wonderful job putting together a list at the beginning of every month of a bunch of new titles. Sometimes they're authors that you know and love. Other times it's a debut for an author. But regardless, there are so many great books to choose from. So you'll pick one, that'll be your book of the month. You'll either get an audiobook, which is perfect if you love to sit and listen to a book as you're crafting, or you can get a hardcover, which will be delivered to your door in their iconic blue box. I've discovered a lot of new authors through Book of the Month, ones that I still continue to follow now. I look forward to their releases, and I've had the opportunity to branch out of my romance bubble that I lived in. Okay, we're branching out, we're trying new things. I'm very excited about the books that I picked this month because one is a romance and one is not, so we're kind of like, we're in my new vibe of not just romance everything, which is so brave of me, by the way. My first pick for this month was The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren. They are so good. They always do it for me. This has a fake dating trope, which is just, I'm gonna eat it up. I just know I am. It's so good. And the main character's name is Anna. So I can really just insert myself into this story even easier than ever before. And this second one is actually this author's debut. The author Sarah Crouch wrote Middle Tide. It is a small town kind of mystery coming home vibe. It just seemed mysterious and fun and cute. It's a little bit shorter, at least for me. This is shorter, which I'm very excited about it. I think I will be able to just sit down and devour it in like 1 or 2 reading sessions, which is exactly my vibe. Any book that I can turn into just like one big glorious reading session is just for me. So those are just 2 of the May options. They have a bunch of others on their website, and if you want to join me in trying out Book of the Month, you can get your first book for only $5, which is really cool. Just go to bookofthemonth.com and use code PETALS if you want your first book for only $5. Once again, that is bookofthemonth.com. Use code PETALS to get your first book for $5. You can't beat that. That's just so good. Thank you again to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video and for always supporting the channel. And thank you guys for hearing me out and allowing me to keep doing what I love doing. And now we're going to jump back into chatting about yarn. So there are so many different types of yarns that are actually perfect for spring and summer. I feel like when I think about summer fibers, I automatically think of cotton and only cotton. But there are a lot of other ones that are just as gorgeous and possibly a better fit for the project that you're making than just cotton. Honestly, a lot of the other yarns that we're going to talk about are blends with cotton, but the other fibers tend to give it a different look or feel. Cotton is kind of the king, in my opinion, of the warm weather fibers, but there are other ones that deserve their flowers as well, so we're going to talk about all of them. We have cotton, linen, bamboo, and hemp, and we're going to go through all of them and all the different recommendations, and hopefully by the end of this video you have found something that's a good fit for maybe a project you're thinking about making this spring or summer. We are going to start with cotton though, just because it is probably the most readily available. A lot of us probably think of that when we think of making for warmer weather, and there's just a lot of really great options. I like cotton a lot because it's breathable, it's accessible, but it is a little bit heavy at times, which for me makes it not always the best fit for a project. I don't always want my garments to be that weighty, and sometimes the weight is just a lot. It's overwhelming and it could be not the best. But I don't think we're making a lot of sweaters in the summer, so your tops will probably be just fine even if you use a cotton yarn that's a little bit on the heavier side. So the first one I think about is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. It's very readily available and very affordable. Normally when I get it, I'll get it at Michael's or Joann's, and there's a pretty good color selection, I will say. I've used this yarn, I just haven't used it in a while, so I don't remember exactly how it feels. But if I'm remembering correctly, it wasn't the softest cotton yarn. I don't think that's necessarily a downside. It's just something to keep in mind if you're looking for a yarn that's very soft. This might not be the best one, but it is a very reliable, high quality cotton. You can get it basically anywhere, and you can get it for a pretty good price. The second cotton yarn I know is very polarizing. You either love it or you hate it. It's the Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn. The people who love it, love it. Like, I see people who like swear by it, and then other people don't like it at all. They just really don't enjoy working with it. But you can't deny that they have a really great color selection. They have a lot of different options, and once again, very affordable, readily accessible at places like Michael's or Joann's. This one is probably even more well known for being a stiffer, not as soft cotton yarn, but once again, you don't always want a soft cotton, so this might be a better fit. I might not love the Sugar and Cream yarn, but I don't think we should write it off. I think it is right for some occasions depending on the artist, but that is for you to decide. You would go to your local craft store and feel it. I'm gonna stay over here not using it, but it is not fair for me not to give you guys the option. However, up next is my favorite cotton yarn, okay? It is the Paint Box Simply Cotton. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys know me, you know how I love my Paint Box yarns. The Paint Box cotton is great. You can get it in different weights, which I really appreciate. They have an Aran and a DK at least, if not other sizes. Those are just the two that I know because I've used. Those are the two that I go to. They have a really good color selection. All of the Paint Box yarns, regardless of the fiber, have a very good color selection in my opinion. And it's very affordable. The only downside, you can only get it on Lovecrafts, which is a website. It's not a store. So you can't feel it and see it before you buy it, which for me definitely is a deterrent, but I gambled and it worked out. I think this yarn is wonderful. It can be a little bit splitty, I'm not gonna lie, but not so much so that it's unbearable to work with. You just have to pay attention. You can also get this in bulk packs, which makes buying easier, and Lovecrafts always has sales. So another cotton yarn that I've heard a lot about but I haven't had the chance to try is the Wool in the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton. This is one of their most popular yarns on their website, and the people who have used it love it. My friend Savannah used it for a couple of her projects when she was designing her book, and I know that she just loved this yarn. Like, she's talked about wanting to undo the projects that she doesn't wear that use this yarn to reuse it because it's so nice and she enjoys it so much. This is not the only cotton yarn that Wool in the Gang has, by the way. They have some others. I just figured that this would be the one to highlight because it definitely is the most popular. They also have a really nice color selection, which I was happy to see. They have a nice mix of brights and muteds and some interesting kind of variegated colors. I don't know if variegated is the right word, but that's the one that comes to mind for me. However, it is a little bit more expensive. With the nicer quality, you are getting a higher price point, and Wool in the Gang is also just known for being a more expensive yarn brand. Whether it should be or not, I don't really have an opinion on that, but if you used Wool in the Gang, you know it's more expensive. 100 grams of this yarn will run you $13, which is not in everybody's budget. It's certainly not in mine right now, but from what I understand, the people who have used it, they say it is very much worth it. So if you're looking for a bit of a nicer yarn, a nicer cotton, maybe this is the one that you try out. And the last cottons we're going to talk about are 3 different ones that I'm kind of grouping into one because they're all by Drops. If you've never heard of Drops, it is a wonderful yarn brand, very, very affordable. You just really have a hard time getting it in the States. I'm not going to say that nobody in the States sells Drops because there may be little yarn stores that do, but no major retailers sells Drops. I normally end up buying it from Wool Warehouse just because it's worth it for me to order it overseas and pay for the shipping, just because the pricing is so good. And they have a really great selection of different fibers and weights, etc. Like, they have 3 different types of cottons. That is wonderful. 3 different types, 3 different weights. So no matter what you're looking for, you can find it. You know what I mean? Drops Muscat is a DK weight yarn. Drops Paris is an Aran weight yarn. And then Drops Saffron is a 4-ply yarn. I was honestly pleasantly surprised as well when I was putting this list together that all of the Drops cottons have a very nice color range. They have brights, they have muted. I've noticed at times that the other fibers, like the wools, will be a little bit more muted or earthy tones, naturals, more than the bright colors. So I was very happy to see that the cottons do have a really nice array of color options, and it's for all 3 of those that I just listed. So it's not just one yarn that has all the color options. All 3 do have a pretty good selection of colors that you can pick from. Like I said, the only downside is ordering from overseas, but I find Wool Warehouse to be very, very trustworthy. I've ordered from them multiple times, and honestly, sometimes it comes in like 3 days. I'm not kidding. There are other times it takes longer. There are other times that it takes longer for sure. I've waited like 2.5 weeks for yarn sometimes, just depending on like how the postal service is running at that point. But there was one time, the yarn that I most recently ordered from them, it came here in like 3 days. I was shocked, so pleasantly surprised to see it on my doorstep. So ordering it overseas is a little bit annoying to have to wait for it, but in my opinion, Drops is worth it. It is a very good yarn. So those are all the cottons we're going to talk about, but like I said, a lot of the other yarns we're going to talk about are cotton blends. I find that a majority of these other fibers don't stand alone often in a yarn. Some do, and they're probably great. A lot of them I have not tried, I'm not going to lie to you, but many of them are cotton blends with the fill-in-the-blank other fibers. And this is by no means the full list of cotton yarns. These are just some that I wanted to highlight. But if you have other recommendations, leave them down below for other people who are maybe looking for cotton yarns or any other summer fibers while you're there. Just share your knowledge. But we're gonna move on to linen. This is one that I very much enjoy. Linen is made from flax plants, okay? It is a very popular summer fiber, even outside of knitting and crocheting. Like, I have a pair of linen pants that are so nice for the summer because it's very breathable, it's very light, and a lot of the colors are a little bit more earthy or like coastal in my opinion. Obviously that's not exclusive, you could have like a bright colored linen, but just from what I've seen in terms of clothing made from linen. The first one we're going to talk about is the Rowan Creative Linen. I found this one on Lovecrafts. I have not tried it yet. And while there are not a lot of reviews on Lovecrafts, I did look elsewhere, and the reviews online on Google are very glowing for this yarn. People say it's very good quality. It has really great stitch definition, which is really nice. The downside is it is more expensive. It's currently on sale as I'm looking at it on Lovecrafts, but even on sale for 50 grams, it's gonna run you $10.72. Normally it's listed as $16.49, so it is on the more expensive side of things, but if you're looking for a really nice quality cotton linen, this might be the direction to go. People had a lot of really great things to say about it, but like I said, I have not tried it, and there are only limited reviews on Lovecrafts, but I wanted to give this option because I thought it was a really pretty yarn. However, I do think you can get really good, high quality cotton linens elsewhere. We're going back to Drops, okay? Drop Spell is a yarn that I just recently tried for a project that I'm currently working on. I really like it. They have a pretty good color selection. It's not as broad in my opinion as the other cotton yarns, but I thought it was pretty good. Very affordable, like I said. The only downside is shipping from overseas. It could be a little bit splitty in my opinion. If I'm not paying attention, my knitting needles will go straight through. So that could be a little annoying, but it's really not the end of the world, and it has an absolutely gorgeous drape. In my opinion, it's a less heavy fiber so far, or buildup, than just 100% cotton, but I didn't finish the garment that I'm making with it, so I can't say for certain. I will also say it does contain viscose, which to us is better known as rayon. It is a semi-synthetic fiber. I know some people like to avoid the synthetic fibers, which is totally fair. For me, it's not too much of a deterrent, especially when it's, you know, in a little quantity like it is in this yarn. It definitely helps it have a really nice drape. So I'm okay with it, but I did want to mention that in case you were looking for a 100% totally natural yarn. And lucky for you, Drops was like, okay girl, we got you. We won't add any rayon to this one. The Drops Bommel Lin, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, is just linen and cotton, no rayon. This one does have a limited color selection, so be warned about that. And I have not tried this one, so I can't attest to it, but I've had only successes with drops yarn, so I bet this one is great as well. And the last linen yarn we're going to talk about is the Patons? How do we pronounce that? Patons? I'm going to go with that. Patons lightweight linen yarn. This is another cotton linen blend, and it's very accessible. You can get it at Joann's, okay? It's classified as a DK weight yarn, has a pretty good color selection, kind of runs the gamut for like a good solid yarn, a good choice, you know what I mean? The reviews on Joann's website are very good as well. Have not used it, but a lot of people said it is a very good tried and true yarn. All right, up next, we're talking about bamboo, okay? This one's fun to me. Bamboo yarn is just such a silly, fun concept. I love it. It's so great. It is obviously made from bamboo. It's made from bamboo grass. It is hypoallergenic, very good, breathable, nice summer fiber, okay? There's one yarn in particular that I think of when I think of bamboo. It is the Lion brand Trubu. This is a 100% bamboo yarn, which I think is really cool. It's classified as a DK. I have not used it, but I see it all the time at Joann's, and it has a pretty good color selection, especially in the brights category. I feel like that is perfect for spring and summer. A lot of us are making a lot more bright garments, so if you're looking for that, maybe this is a good yarn for you. This one also has a subtle sheen to it, which can be really nice depending on what you're making. Next up is another Lion brand yarn. This one is the Kobu yarn. It is another DK weight, but this one is a cotton and rayon blend, but the rayon is said to be made from bamboo. It is, like I said, a semi-synthetic, so I'm not exactly sure how the yarn is made, but I have touched it before. I have not used it. I'm not going to claim to say I have used it, but I go to Joann's just to physically feel it out. I want to physically feel all of the yarn, and I do distinctly remember this one being very, very soft, which is really nice. Because it's so soft, it leads me to believe I would have a very gorgeous drape. Can't say that for certain, but when I think of soft, I think of a nice drape. They also have a very good color selection, and it is available at both Joann's and Michael's. Readily available. And then last for bamboo, we have Stylecraft Naturals Bamboo and Cotton. Bamboo cotton blend, you guys already guessed it. This is a DK weight yarn. Lots of gorgeous colors, okay? They're more on the muted side, but that's more up my alley, especially in the summer. I actually take that back immediately after I said it. It is my vibe year round, not just in the summer, but if you're more of a muted person rather than a brights, maybe this is the one to check out. I have not used this one, but the reviews on Lovecrafts came through. People said that the yarn is very soft. It could be a little bit splitty if you're not paying attention, but it has a very gorgeous drape, which leads me to believe that it is soft, you know? Once again, soft, good drape, kind of go hand in hand in my head. I also think this one is at a pretty fair price point. It is $8.25 for 100 grams, so not terrible, and Lovecrafts normally does run a good amount of sales throughout the year, so not bad to put in your cart and wait for it to go on sale if you're wanting to try it. So that's all I have for the bamboos. We're gonna move on to the last fiber, which is, drumroll please, hemp. Okay, hemp yarn is derived from weed, essentially. I'm partially joking. It is derived from the stems of the cannabis plant. If you open up the stems, there are these fibers inside. They take that out and they make the yarn. Not gonna claim to know how they do that, but that's basically the process of creating a hemp yarn. Lion brand coming through again with the Just Hemp yarn. This is 100% hemp, not a blend. And it's a bulky, which was the first time that I saw a bulky summer weight yarn. Obviously, a lot of the time, we're not choosing to use a bulky weight when it's warmer, but sometimes time and place. Time and place. If you need a bulky yarn and you want to, I don't know, not swelter in the fiber, this could be a good option. These colors are also more on the muted side, but for me, they're very like beachy, coastal, kind of like summer vibes. The blues, the tans, the greens maybe. So I think that could be very fun. The next one is the Barocco Meraki. Maybe I'm saying that incorrectly. Yarn. It is a cotton hemp blend, okay? It has a little bit of polyester in it. Just so you know, if you're looking for a fully natural yarn, this does have a little bit of polyester. The brand says that the yarn has a lovely pebbly texture with a subtle color effect that creates a beautiful stonewash effect. I think that's gorgeous. All of the swatches that they had, like the pictures listed online, looked really pretty. However, it is more on the expensive side. It's around $8 for 50 grams, so it is a little bit more expensive. But like I said, Lovecraft has so many sales that you could probably get this on sale and hurt your wallet a little bit less. And then last but certainly not least is Wool and the Gang's Buddy Hemp yarn. This is another cotton and hemp blend, and it is low-key hard to tell if it is a DK or an Aran. I was looking on the website and I couldn't quite tell. The knitting needles, I believe they recommended, were 4mm, but the crochet hook was 5 or 5.5. Normally when I see a 5mm crochet hook, I think more Aran weight, but when I see 4mm knitting needles, I tend to think a little more DK. So I don't necessarily know how it's categorized, but somewhere in the middle. Wool and the Gang says it is the perfect summer yarn. They say it is airy. They say it is soft and lightweight, but it is $20 for 100 grams. Yeah, that's expensive. That's a lot of money. So maybe if you're looking for something a little bit nicer, you want to try it out. Maybe you're a tried and true Wool and the Gang fan and you have not tried this yarn yet. This could be the direction to go, but that's expensive in my opinion. So pros and cons. And yeah, those are the yarns that I have for you guys today. I hope that this video was helpful. I know it could be kind of overwhelming to find which yarn to choose, but there are a lot of options to make things in the spring and summer. So not only will you be comfortable wearing it, your hands won't be dying of sweat because you're holding wool at the beach. You know what I mean? Please let me know if any of this was helpful, and let me know if you're going to try any of these yarns. Like I said, I have not ended up trying a lot of them, but I have so many different summer and spring design ideas that I think that it's going to be a good excuse to try more yarns. If you liked today's video, make sure to like it. It helps me out so much, and comment so I know that you enjoyed it. Also, make sure to subscribe, put on the post notification bell if you want to keep hanging out with me. I've had such a good time with you. I hope you had a good time with me. And if you want to hear me yap more, make sure to check out the Crochet Authority podcast with me and my friends Morgan and Savannah. We just yap about fiber arts. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I love you all so very dearly, and I will see you next time with a brand new video. Bye everybody.